now it's time for the reading of our Daily Word. Daily Word magazine is a publication of Unity Worldwide Ministries, and our word for today, August 25th, 2024, is glory. And our affirmation is, I celebrate the glory of God in myself and all others. Will you join me, please, in that affirmation together, please? I celebrate the glory of God in myself and all others. Magnificence, radiance, and tremendous power. These are awe-inspiring qualities that describe the glory of God. Because I am a living expression of Spirit, these glorious attributes are also part of my spiritual nature. In the peace of prayer, exquisite awareness of God's glory fills my mind and heart. Everyone is God's living expression, a reflection of divine glory, just as I am. Even when my limited human perception has not yet perceived it, my faith shows me this truth about every person I meet. As my awareness of glory within awakens, spiritual wisdom, understanding, and love teach me to cooperate with all who are seeking to build greater harmony, abundance, and compassion among all humankind and the world's creatures. And our scripture today is from John 17:22, and it reads, The glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. Again, our word for today is glory, and if you join me one more time in our affirmation, please, together. I celebrate the glory of God in myself and all others, and so it is.
As we settle into the spirit of the presence, we let ourselves let go of the things that brought us here, of the things that we've thought about all week, and we let them go for this time and settle into this place in our heart, the sanctuary of our soul. For we know that it is here that we truly do express, understand, and radiate with the Spirit of God that is within each one of us. The sanctuary of the soul. What a beautiful, beautiful place. As we spend time, we take a deep breath and release, knowing that all is well in our world. All is well. As we have that intake of breath and release, we can feel the presence, the power, the blessing of God. For we truly are an expression, divinely guided, divinely maintained by God. And the glory of God shines through each one of us. For all that we meet, we see the Christ within. For it is simply a reflection of ourselves. The Christ dwells within us, and we are lifted up into joy, into wisdom, into power, into abundance, into prosperity, into life, joyful life. And we return to this place over and over as we need to remember we are a part of the allness of God. Like a wave is to the ocean, so are we to God. We are the isness expressed. Our hearts sing with the joy, the rapture, knowing that God is within, without, around, and through us, leading us on our path of rightness to what is ours to do each and every day. And now, in a moment of silence, we allow that Spirit of God to fill our mind, to fill our hearts, to fill our souls. And we are one with God in the silence. And now, as we prepare to return to this time and this place, we remember that Jesus said to his disciples, which includes us, "Come and be, for the Spirit of God is within you. The kingdom of God dwells within you, and you are blessed beyond measure." And so it is. Amen.
This week, when I was working with the topic, I've told you guys before, I do these topics and the teasers that go with them sometimes multiple months in advance. And when I'm on a roll doing the talk titles and the teasers, I can think to myself, oh, that one will be fun, or that one, oh, that'll be juicy. I'll be able to bring this in, or I know what I'll do about that. And I'm not entirely sure what I was thinking when I wrote this one. Because this week I was like, that's kind of weird. Why did I write what I wrote? And then I realized that's kind of it in a nutshell, right? It's this dynamic. Teaching and learning is this dynamic that we're never done learning. Hopefully we're never done learning, because that's kind of the crux of everything, is keeping that learner's mind, keeping that open mind. As soon as I think I know everything I need to know, and I've got it all figured out, that is the very second I need to immediately run, not walk, to the mirror and look at myself and say, what are you doing? We are always learning new ways of being, new paradigms to work within, new ways of showing up, better and better and more skillful ways of doing whatever it is we're doing. That is, my thought, is what we're here for. That's what we're in skin for. That's why we've shown up to this human experience, is to find out how all of this works. And the Unity Walk is so beautiful about that because, again, we have those 5 principles that we talk about. See, when Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders of Unity, when Unity was becoming Unity in the late 1800s, and it started with a healing, and it started with a paradigm shift in prayer. From praying out to a God on a cloud or something somewhere, or in a heaven somewhere, to praying knowing that we are within God and that God is within us. And so, as Myrtle said, the first time I read this, it took me, I had to read it again like 2 or 3 times and then question my entire existence and then think about it for about a week. When Myrtle said, we aren't sending prayers out at all, where would we send them? Because we are within God and God is within us. So the activity of prayer is to align with that presence of God within us and in our world to help us create the best life we could possibly want to create, the best existence we could want to have. And like I said, when I first read that, I thought, well, wait a second, because I've been in Unity since I was 6 years old. And again, that might make some of you think I've got it all figured out. No. And the minute I start thinking that is the minute I should not be standing here talking to you. Because it's always growing and evolving within us. And Charles and Myrtle, when the movement was created and when it was getting started, people kept asking them, please write it all down. What's the belief system? How do we do this? Because Myrtle had an amazing healing. Myrtle healed from terminal tuberculosis. And what Myrtle did was go into this new paradigm of prayer that she discovered, that she aligned with when she heard a traveling speaker that was traveling through their area, Dr. E.B. Weeks. He said, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. She had been told since she was a sickly little girl, because she was sick all her life, she had been told, well, your father's people are just a sickly bunch. Sorry, that's what your life is going to be. Your dad, all of his family, the generations before you have always been sickly people. So you've just stepped into that. You've got to deal with it because it's who you are and what you are. And when Dr. E.B. Weeks said that, I'm a child of God and therefore I do not inherit sickness, Myrtle's entire paradigm for life was changed. Charles was like, next. He thought the answer was still going to come from somewhere else. But Myrtle went home and said, hold on, I need to take some time with this. And Myrtle started, instead of praying to God, Myrtle started praying through her body to the Godness within. And she started saying, oh my gosh, I am part of God. How could I ever think I was anything less than deserving of the best possible life I could have? How could I ever buy into the belief that I could fail in something I believe so strongly in? And she started thanking her body, every cell, every one of her organs, her bones, her blood, her muscles, everything. She started thanking them for bringing her through all they had brought her through. And she started promising to believe better about what she was. Not who she was, but what she was. She was Godness in skin. And she embraced that at the deepest possible levels, and it brought about her healing. I've said it before, when Myrtle passed, she wasn't sick. She was still working full-time in the offices at Unity Village, and went in and said on a Thursday afternoon, "It's time for me to make a change." And though everybody was floored by this, she said, "No, I've done everything I'm going to do on this side of the veil," is what she called it. And she said, "It's time for me to make a change." She went home. They entertained guests all weekend. There was an apple orchard at Unity Farm, which was at Unity Village, which is in Missouri. If you haven't gone, we got to make a trip to Unity Village. It's amazing. And she went home. They entertained. They picked apples in the orchard. She had a fantastic weekend, and she passed. She did it on her own terms. See, with Myrtle, she knew that there was a truth underneath that was bigger than the body she was walking around in. Now, that does not mean, please hear me, because I think that the beginning, that being the beginning of unity, has led some people to believe that if there is any illness in their body and they don't have a miraculous healing, they're somehow missing the boat or doing something wrong or not doing what they should be doing. That was Myrtle's demonstration to make. It may not be our each individual demonstration to make, but our consciousness, the way that we hold the truth that we live, is what is going to make our demonstration. Make no mistake about it. And there's where it gets really dicey, this learning and teaching. You know, we live in this world that is filled with all of these paradoxes. For heaven's sakes, if any of you have ever tried to read the Bible, how far do you get before your head hurts and your brain starts spinning? You know, because there's there's this belief, and we have people here for the first time today, so I hope you don't run screaming out of the back door when I say this, or anybody else for that matter, but we breathe. The Bible was a divinely guided and inspired group of writings written by a whole bunch of different people over the course of more than 1,000 years. The hand of God did not part the clouds and land this book fully formed on the top of a mountain for somebody to grab. If I've offended you, my apologies. It's simply fact. So and it was started in an oral tradition, so everything that's written is best guess as to what it was supposed to mean. The language that was spoken when the Bible was first being breathed into life was not a written language. There was not equivalent words that somebody could write down, aside from the fact that it had been an oral tradition for more than 1,000 years. Ever played a game of telephone with, 4 people? So what we're looking at is this inspired truth underneath. But if we're hanging on every word, we're going to miss the point. And be confused. And probably misuse the truth that the Bible is pointing to. But that happens with so many things. In life, we hold on to these paradigms that we learn, or these things that we believe, and sometimes they can be absolutely inaccurate. Sometimes we can hold on to something and give it our own meaning. I have a song to share with you. When I was thinking about what I was going to do with this, I'm like, how do I illustrate this point this week? I'm not sure how to illustrate it. Because, there's that thing where it says, if you can't explain it to a second grader, you don't understand it yourself. And then there's another paradigm that says, we teach best that which we need to learn. Those two don't go well together. So what do we do? So there was this movie that came out many years ago now, but this song from this children's movie hit so big, probably because Idina Menzel sang it. And I mean, come on, Idina Menzel. So anyway, this song hit so huge, and almost everybody for years assumed a meaning that came with this song that is completely inaccurate. So I'm going to sing it for you. And I hope I can articulate the words, and I hope you listen to them. And let's see if we can talk after about what this song was supposed to mean. Let it go, let it go. Cold never bothered me anyway. Woo! All right. So everyone, for a couple of years after that, was going on, let it go. Just let go your attachment to that thing. I remember every burning bowl service for the next 3 years, we had to do Let It Go in Unity churches because everyone anticipated or assumed that that song was about releasing something we have a hold on or letting go and leaving it behind. The let it go in that song means let it out. Stop holding it back. Step into the fullness of who you are. That came from the movie Frozen, and she, all of her life, was holding herself back and smallering herself and trying to fit into the little box that she was supposed to fit into. And her letting it go was let it out, man. You know, lean into who you are. Don't smaller yourself to fit this image of something you think you're supposed to be or what society might think you are supposed to be. Just let it go. Because the more we walk through life holding ourselves in and holding ourselves back and trying to be what we assume everyone thinks we should be, the less and less and less our life becomes. The less we become. You are here. If you haven't heard this before or in something I've said, this hasn't landed for you. You are here on purpose. You are here exactly as you are for a reason. There is no one else walking this planet at this time or any other who would ever be you. There is divine order in the appointment of you being exactly who you are in this time and this space. We can set up such beliefs about what might happen if, that we can scare ourselves into submission. We can paralyze ourselves by what we think we should not have a right to do or cannot do. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. You're always right in your life. Now that doesn't mean what you think it might mean. Because that doesn't mean in the argument with your spouse or your significant other about whether the toilet paper goes this way or this way. I love using that one because we all get that. You know, I know which way it goes. It's not that kind of right. What it means is if you think that you are deserving of something, it will find its way to you. You can't, Mel tells me this a lot, you cannot stop what is meant for you. It's going to find its way to you. Now, how hard are you going to make it? How many obstacles are you going to throw up? That's the part. You're always teaching and you're always learning. And the thing is, we're all teachers. We're all teaching people how life shows up by how we show up. We're unconsciously giving people permission to either be who they are or we're telling them that they can't be by the way that we show up. You know, we've talked so many times, I've heard many people say, I cannot believe that every Unity church isn't just bursting at the seams with what we have to teach, with this truth that we believe. I told you in the beginning, Charles and Myrtle were asked so many times to write it down, and they never would, because Charles said, until the day he died, I reserve the right to have learned something new and have a new truth. We had this conversation in a minister's Zoom group this week. This week was Charles's birthday. And so as we were in our ministers' discussion, we all started comparing Charles' quotes, and we got into this conversation about how, well, you could take some of Charles's quotes, just like I said about the Bible in the beginning. You could take some of Charles's quotes and just stand them next to each other and watch them contradict each other. Because it was a long walk through learning for Charles and Myrtle. And he did learn a lot of things, and his truth did change. I hope our truth changes. I hope we are learning forever and growing forever. And in that learning, we're teaching better and better and better things. And we get better and better and better at it and more skillful at it because we're willing to just let it all go and be who we are and explore what that means in centered ways. If we're willing to do that, we'll be seeing things that we might be just kind of going blind to in our daily life. It's funny, I left, I don't even know whether it was last Sunday or when it was. Oh, we had somebody show up at something and ask when we were open. And I thought, well, that's odd. There's signs on the door. No, the signs were gone. They had blown away at some point, and I just assumed every time I showed up here, walking through the doors where the signs were not, that they were there. I didn't notice they were gone, and I'm the one that put them there. So you would think I would notice these things. No. It's just like you don't know what your own house smells like. You don't. You don't know what your own body smells like compared to what someone else would smell, because we go nose blind to those things that we see and hear and smell and touch every day. We don't want to do that to the truth that we're learning, to the life that we're living. We don't want to go nose blind. We want to make sure that we can see things new all the time. That's one of the ways to stay alive in the question, or how do we keep learning and teaching? It's every day, wake up expecting something awesome to happen. Not in any kind of Pollyanna way. Oh, there's going to be $1 million on my doorstep this morning. No, probably not. Maybe, I don't know. It could happen. But if we wake up with the expectation and step into our life that day with the expectation that something amazing is going to happen today. Maybe it'll be something small, maybe it'll be something huge, but something amazing is going to take place in my existence today. And then I'm going to go looking for it. See, there's the piece. It's the old joke about, the guy praying for God to save him from the flood. And he climbs up on his roof and, a boat goes by and he says, nope, I've prayed. I'm good. Thank you. And another boat comes by. Nope, I've prayed. God's going to save me. The water keeps rising and the water keeps rising, and all of these opportunities have come for him to get off the roof and get in a boat. But he prayed, so he's not going to do anything. When he dies and gets to the pearly gates, St. Peter says, "So, you prayed?" And he says, "Yes, I prayed, but God did not show up for me. God did not turn up for me." And he said, "What about the boat and the plane and the people who tried to get you off the roof?" And sometimes we have to open our eyes a little bit wider to see when God is showing up and answering our prayers. Because I have news for you. It will rarely look the way you thought it would look when you pictured it in your head. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's going to look exactly the opposite of what you thought it should be. So the staying open and the staying in Godness and knowing that the lesson is there is imperative. This week, oh my gosh, and I hope you guys are going to go see it. I went and ushered for Freaky Friday at the Highlands Lakeside Theater. If you do not have tickets, run, don't walk, go get them. It is amazing. It is wonderful. The performances, every single performance I go to that Lakeside Theater, I think it can't get any better than this. And it changes my paradigm every time, right? Every time everyone steps up so beautifully. And Nellie, who has sang on our stage, is one of the leads, and Tracy is multiple people in it. So we've got to look out for people, because sometimes we're going to see multiple people in it. It was amazing. But the pretense of Freaky Friday as a mother and a daughter, so locked into their paradigm of what the other one is and what the other one is doing to them and how the other one is keeping them back, well, they end up magically switching bodies for a day. And it is their adventures trying to cover for each other and show up as each other through this day. It's really very amazing. It really is. And they are doing such a fantastic job. But we step into that paradox, and we know, now I picked up this piece of paper to do something, and now I don't know why. Yeah. Welcome to my brain. Shiny. I'm sure there's something on here I'm supposed to be seeing. Well, here's a great quote from George Bernard Shaw. He said, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." The invitation is there every single day. Step into the paradox. See, that's the other thing. We want to, I hear it so many times, and it may be a small thing and it may be a silly thing to some, but it's so critically important, the way we language our life. Maybe not the exact words we say, but the feeling behind them. We fight cancer, right? It's a war against drugs. What happened when we did a war against drugs? More drugs. When you fight something, you give it energy. You add to it. All pushing against something serves to do is put yourself off balance. Step back into balance. Step back into center. Don't fight what it is. See what it is. Look at it for all that is included in it, including the godness that is buried in there somewhere, even in the worst of life's situations. There is godness there. Look for that. Stop fighting and giving energy to what you don't want. Embrace and support what you want to see, what you want to be, and then you will grow into being it. When a butterfly becomes a butterfly, when a caterpillar gets to that point in their life, change is messy and it's sometimes painful, but we see the butterfly and we appreciate the butterfly. Do we know what it took to get there? When you're in the middle of it in your life and it feels like you don't know that you're going to have the outcome you want, you can have an outcome better than the one you want if you just stay with it. In order for a caterpillar to become a butterfly, it goes into that chrysalis, it sheds its skin, and there is the chrysalis underneath the existing skin. It's not like the cocoon that the caterpillar makes when it's going to become a moth. That chrysalis is just there. And then these cells inside the butterfly, called imaginal cells, are switched on like a light switch when that molt happens and the skin that is left is the chrysalis. Those imaginal cells turn on, and the entire butterfly or the entire caterpillar turns into goo and then reforms. Every cell in the body of that caterpillar reforms and rearranges and becomes the butterfly. And when the butterfly breaks out of the chrysalis, see, this is something that people sometimes don't know. They see it and it looks like a painful process, and it looks like it's hurting the butterfly, and the butterfly's wings are all crinkled up, and it looks like it's struggling to get out. If you help a butterfly get out of a chrysalis, it will never fly. If you touch its wings while it is going through the transformation, they will not fully form. That butterfly knows what it's supposed to do. It trusts the process. It comes and struggles out of that chrysalis. It sits and pumps life and liquid into its wings, and then those wings harden and its exoskeleton hardens, and it becomes this beautiful butterfly, but not before turning into goo. So when you're feeling a little goo-like, we're your chrysalis. That's what we're here for. Call us. Lean on us. Be with us. Come here. Grow with us. We're changing together. Let's create these waves of unity, one imaginal cell at a time. And so it is. Thank you.
Trish, Tina, and the production team thank you for joining us. You can submit a prayer request, donate, and find more information on our website at www.unityofsebring.org.